Oh my God, hi, hello. It's Kendall here. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're not new around here, what is up, home skillet biscuit? Happy Saturday. If you don't know what Saturday is, it's when I do a little something on my channel called Bad Movies and a Beat. The series on my channel where I talk about bad movies while putting my makeup on. Today I'm going for a very holy look, one of God putting makeup on in a God honoring way, because today we're talking about the second worst decision that Ja Rule has ever made. But before we start on that, as always, there are bills to be paid. Thank you, appreciated. Bye. Hello everyone, it's Admiral Kennie, and today's video is sponsored by Lovin' Pies. Lovin' Pies is a heartwarming Merge 2 game with the goal of building a thriving business. It follows the journey of Amelia Green, a single mom who moves to the countryside and opens her new cafe after a rough divorce. We follow along with Amelia as she renovates the cafe and discovers dark family secrets along the way. The story blends a bunch of genre together: cozy, romance, mystery, humor. It's a fun time. Me personally, I love games like this for when I just want to disconnect a bit from the world, from social media, just play something to switch off. And it's been one of my go-tos recently because of that. And perhaps my favorite part is like the renovation part of the game, because I love leveling up so I can make this like shack into this beautiful, glorious building that I can really call my own. You can also challenge yourself with various events and competitions, unlock and explore new story content, and use your creativity to customize the cafe of your dreams. So if you would like to check out Lovin' Pies, you can check out the link down below. Big thanks again to Lovin' Pies for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get on to the debauchery. Don't mind my wig. You will, because some of y'all are haters, but I had to bleach this one, and I hate bleaching wigs, and I undoubtedly over bleached it, and so everything looks weird. Ignore it. Look at my beautiful face. Thank you. So last week we talked about the infuriating mess that was The Unmarried Wife. It's a Filipino movie. I talked for like an hour at length about the mess. It was obviously a movie that greatly infuriated you guys as well, because y'all were going off in the comments. It was very, very funny. But if you would like to watch that video and get angry with me, because sometimes you just want to be mad, you can check that out up above, or you can check it out in the Bad Movie and a Beat playlist. Thank you. This week, like I hinted at before, we're going on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. Today, we're talking about things that are holy. This time, we're talking about Christian romance. Today, we're talking about one of the movies that have been left on the bingo card of movies that y'all keep asking me to watch, but I have greatly refused because I just didn't want to do it. Since I have to do something with this energy, and I'm gonna subject you all to it as well. So for those of you that have been requesting this over the years, I'm sure you're very excited. And for those of you that are unaware of this phenomenon even existing, I'm happy I can introduce you to a whole new world. For those of you that didn't know, today we're talking about the 2013 Christian romance starring Jeff Ja Rule Atkins. His name is Jeff. I don't know why that's funny to me. And Adrienne Bailon, the girl from the Cheetah Girls, The Real. They starred in a movie that actually exists. It's not a parody. It's not. It's a real movie called I'm in Love with a Church Girl. That go to church and read her Bible. I'm in Love with a Church Girl is a pretty well kept secret for those in the real world, but the rest of us who enjoy garbage, it's been on our radar for a while. Like I said, I've had for a very long time people asking me, Kendall, have you seen that Christian romance movie with Ja Rule and the Cheetah Girl? And I have yet to talk about this movie, despite it being requested from you guys for a long time, simply because I didn't feel like it. I knew I was gonna hate it. I knew it was gonna be bad. I knew I would probably know the whole story before it started. Spoiler alert, I did. Because even with like a quick synopsis, you can kind of guess where this is gonna go. But I figured I should eventually get around to it out of the way, because y'all have been begging me to watch this movie. This is kind of a side note, but one of the funniest parts about doing what I do is that when people ask me to watch movies, they don't just ask. They ask in this way as if they are at gunpoint. Like, please, I need Kendall, please, I need you. I need you to watch Cocaine Bear when it comes. Like, I will. Like, calm down, relax. Nothing is that serious. So if you haven't guessed from the title, I actually kind of figured what it was gonna be by the title alone. But the movie is about a playboy, particularly a vaguely reformed gangster type dude who falls in love with a very devout Christian girl. And she and her love and her devotion saves him from a life of sin and crime, or whatever. And they just pray a lot. And after 2 hours, that's a movie. Apparently, it's based off of a true story. I don't know how much is based off of a true story, but it seems to be vaguely based off of the story of some guy who was a gangster turned pastor, preacher, and he turned his life around while incarcerated in California. And honestly, if you read that, that's the movie. You don't have to watch it if you don't want to. It's as bad as you would think it is. Everyone does a terrible job. I don't know if it's because they're just doing it for a check or because it's just a shit movie. Even Miss Cheetah Girl over here. But in fairness, there is a kind of like Disney Channel-esque thing about this movie, even though there's some relatively serious subject matter. With that said, it's what I've come to expect from a lot of Christian romance movies. I don't know where it says in the Bible that you can't make a good movie, though. I don't know why every movie in reference to Christ has to be so structurally bad and cringy. I don't know why that is, but this seems to be a running pattern I've noticed. Now, I'm fully aware that I have a healthy dose of religious trauma, so I'm gonna try to separate my particular thoughts on the matter in general. Rest assured, there's plenty without it. The movie's just bad. Like, structurally, everyone's acting is terrible. The lines are stupid. But one thing it's good at is being something that's fun to make fun of, hence why we're here. To revel in the basis of human impulses. That is why we're here today, to gather communally to heckle this movie. To give another place of perpetual shame of decisions that Ja Rule has made in the last 10 years. Does that make me a bad person? Does it make me sinful? I'm such a bitch. Anyway, I gotta finish this video before I go get my dog, so let's get into it. This is I'm in Love with a Church Girl 2013. I don't know why I decided to do at-home eyelash extensions today, as if I enjoy the regular ones either, but here we are, making my job that much more difficult because I like the danger. So the movie begins with a voiceover from Ja Rule's character. His name is Miles. Miles is a gangster. And he opens the movie with a good old BT. If you wonder how I got here, it's kind of a crazy story. They rewind to 2009, in which he's in a gangster meeting with some conveniently ethnically diverse people that be doing the thuggery. They say, you can call us a lot of stuff, but you won't call us racist. Amen. We are equal opportunity gangster representation here. Absolutely. Basically, he's telling his friends that he can't continue to do the flashy lifestyle that he's living without eventually being caught by the feds. So it's pretty easy to assume that whatever Miles is doing is something illegal, and it's something that's making him a lot of money. And if he at all enjoys the spoils of those riches, he could get caught by the Fed. While visiting his mom, however, he decides to stash money in her safe there, which is crazy because didn't you just say he was about to get caught by the feds? I guess if she gets caught by the feds, I guess bitch had it coming. Like, she seems like a nice lady. While he's there, he sees her watching a commercials for Sandals Beaches. You know, Sandals Resorts, like you'd see their commercials if you were with your grandma watching The Price is Right. Well, apparently this incredibly rich man, stupid wealthy man, was unable to send his mom to a commercial cruise that would come on in between episodes of Maury. Is this God-honoring glitter? I don't know. It's also pretty obvious that Sandals seems to be a bit of a sponsor for this movie because they do show up by name more than once. And I was just like, I wonder what the bag is like from Sandals. Obviously enough to make fineries like I'm in Love with a Church Girl. But while he's there, the mom encourages him to come to church with her. He can meet him a nice church girl. He isn't really a fan of church. He's always found it boring. But what he does like is women. So he's like, if someone want to smash, he's down. He says it in a nicer way, in a more God-fearing way, but at the end of the day, that's what he meant. But meanwhile, away at a DEA office, one of the Baldwin brothers, no, seriously, one of the Baldwin brothers are in this movie. Stephen Baldwin is in this movie. But yeah, he plays a cop looking to bust Miles for his, whatever his illicit activity is. Why is it that every Baldwin brother always look like they just got finished sucking on a lemon? But I will say this is pretty good casting for him. He does very much so have like a cop face. It's hard to explain what that means, but he has a cop face. I don't know. But the cops are being chastised for wasting too much money in pursuit of Miles. They've taken too much time looking in on him, observing him, that if they're not going to come up with a result of whether or not they can book him, like they need to figure something out. But it's really funny because they don't really explain what he's done at first. Instead, all they do is look at him and they're like, man, dude's rich. He's rich as fuck. It's kind of suspicious, don't you think? Why? Why is there suspicion, Baldwin? They say, oh, they see this black dude with too much money. We got to figure out how he's duping the system. How do you even know he's doing something illegal? I mean, he is, but I mean, you didn't know that, but you wouldn't look in on a 52-year-old white man. Sound like racism to me. Sound like racism. But beyond this, of course, this is a love story, right? So we have to have the romantic first sighting type thing. And how that happens in this movie is that while driving down the street, he sees a beautiful, mysterious woman in a convertible. And he sees her at a stop sign and she takes a turn. And he then decides to go full on Tokyo Drift. He is bobbing and weaving through cars. He's trying to get her. And I swear to God, this is another situation where the only difference between romance and horror is the music in the background. I gotta be careful. I'm not trying to go too Jezebel on the lips. But he gets pulled over for speeding, thank God, and the beautiful stranger is able to get away. Back at the cops, they finally give a reason for why they're actually going after Miles. Apparently, they suspect him of being the leader of the biggest drug trafficking ring in the area. And another weird thing about the Baldwin dude, I forget what his actual name is in this movie, but he when he talks about Miles, he talks about him as if not just like he's a criminal, but he talks about him as if he's like jealous of him. And it's this like reoccurring thing. I'm like, you good?
He's smart, he's rich, and he's good looking. But I don't necessarily think I'd want to marry him off to my daughter.
Is it because you want him? This sounds like some begrudged attraction, because like, why are you all up his ass like that? Miles ends up going to an associate's pool party. And before my can get asked whether he likes hot dogs or burgers, they up his ass about how he needs to start finding a wife. You can't devote your whole life to work. You got to go out there and find a wife and settle down or whatever. Unsolicited, he's like, I nearly ruined my own marriage by working too hard. Okay. Can I get a margarita? But he continues on to say that the only thing that saved his marriage is that him and his wife started to go to Bible classes, Bible study together with people from her church. Incidentally, guess who's one of the people who are in her Christian Bible study thing? Vanessa. Adrienne Bailon, the beautiful woman that he had seen driving down the street, who he was speeding to go talk to, who he nearly killed innocent bystanders when he was trying to get that nut, which is doubly hilarious because she's abstinent. Apparently, Vanessa goes to the same Bible study every week, and he's like, sure, I can say I know Jesus if that means an end to talking to this person. So he lies about being in between churches just to get on her good side, and she catches it. And then he admits that he never felt comfortable in church, like he never found one that really matched with him. And she suggests that perhaps he should keep looking and find one that he'll stick with. But they hit it off and they talk the whole night, long past sundown. At that point, I would have to tell them to get the fuck off my property. You see, everybody else went home. Read the room. But they keep talking. They exchange numbers. And the next day, she asks him if he would like to go to church with her. And he gives her some kind of excuse about how he has a bunch of stuff to do. But let's meet up later when we both have a bit more free time. At that point, he invites her to his mansion, which is being staked out by the feds, by the way. And they listen to all his conversations. They watch as he has his date there. But they start chatting. He actually tells her that he had seen her that day and nearly caused a 10-car pileup trying to talk to her and got pulled over. And she thinks this is just so romantic. But she's not me, though. She thinks this is great. I don't know. Maybe this is the energy I'll be on when the Lexapro starts kicking in. But as of right now, absolutely the not. But she thinks it's super romantic. They kiss and everything after. They have their first kiss because of it. And I'm like, okay. She works at a faith-based clothing store. They sell like t-shirts with like God puns and like Christian rap CDs. It's like a hot topic for Christ. And and he comes in and he's there to visit her, and he invites her to a birthday party that night. He comes to pick her up, and that's where he meets her family. for the first time. She has some incredibly annoying sisters. Her father is nice, albeit a bit dorky. But the mom sees him and is like, no. Which again, no what? You know nothing of this man. No what? Ow. Racist. She's sitting there like, I didn't know Miles was a Negro name, because she had heard the name Miles, right? She knew that the guy that her daughter was seeing was named Miles. Theoretically heard about Miles and was cool with him until she saw this black man and was like, you are Miles? And so only then is she starting to like hyper fixate on whether or not he's a man of God. It didn't matter when you thought Miles wasn't a Negro, but suddenly she finds out that Miles is a black dude and she's like, well, how are you with Christ? Are you right with the Lord? Oh, and she spends the night seething that she's with that thug she's with. And I'm like, girl, fuck you. But they go out together. Miles introduces her to some of his friends. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to go over great. Bring the devout Christian to meet your drug trafficking friend. I'm sure this will go swimmingly. And as you'd imagine, didn't go well. For some reason, the super secret criminals think it's the perfect time to tell this random stranger, this girl that they've never met before, about Miles getting drunk and shooting out of windows. Something that she doesn't seem to fully digest. Like, her face says that she's suspicious, but it's hard to know whether or not she heard. Listen! Like, we don't listen! But she ignores it, because otherwise we'd have to acknowledge all the other mistakes we've made up until this point. Not that he's a black man, but that he was Tokyo drifting to see you. That's weird. Miles takes his friends away so that he can chastise them for talking too much about his like less than savory behavior in front of this girl, because she's not that type of girl. She's a nice girl. And while they're away, the women remaining at the table continue to talk to Veronica. What is her name? Vanessa. Ooh, I knew it was a V. They continue to talk to Vanessa and basically ask her incredibly inappropriate questions, something along the lines of like, are the rumors they say about Miles true, alluding to him sexually? And she's like, visibly uncomfortable. She's like, I wouldn't know. But in the car from the party, Vanessa is still incredibly understanding that, he had a past. He's a person with a past. And he's like, I'm scared if you knew everything, you may not want to know me anymore. And I hate to break it to you, but that's how that works sometimes. I know, this reminded me, I was talking to this guy very, very briefly, and I'm not going to go into the breakdown because it was very stupid, but basically we were chatting, and at some point he just told me some shit that told me, I was like, I don't think I want to talk to this guy anymore. He was giving crazy energy. And then I basically was like, let's pump the brakes a little bit. And he was like, why did you change? You went cold. I was like, cold? No, because you were cool with me until you learned more about me. And I was thinking, yeah, that's how that works. That's how dating works. Like, we had only known each other 3 days and there were just so many red flags so quickly. I had to go. Yeah, that's how dating works. Anyway, but they go to dinner and he tells her that he used to be a drug dealer, I guess. I don't know when he stopped doing it because they don't specify that. Maybe in the very beginning of the movie when he was like, the IRS are on my ass, so maybe that's when he stopped. I don't know. And that those guys are people that were in his crew and they still sell drugs. I've known them for so long. Those are my closest friends. They're ride or die. But Vanessa is like, well, the Bible says that bad company corrupts good character. Do you think you should still hang out with them? And he's like I said, they're like family. So no, they're not going anywhere. But I've been trying them to do things that are more on the up and up, but they just won't do it. So Vanessa hears all this information and she's like,
to be honest with you, babe, it almost sounds like a testimony of someone who's had their life turned around by God.
Who said that? Who said that? Who said that? Who said that? Where'd she get that from? Like, dead ass. He said his life was turned around by drugs. I don't know. God works in mysterious ways, but it seems like a bit of a strange medium, one would think. I don't know.
Does it make me want to pull away from you? No. If anything, it makes me want to get closer to you.
Oh God, not the Christian broken bird bullshit. Oh my God. I'm trying my hardest to not bring in my own religious trauma, but I just want to talk about this particular aspect of this because I think it's very important to people. Because it's not just Christians that do this, but I was raised very Christian and I noticed this particular thing a lot in that community. Some Christian women, particularly if they were raised to believe it's their job to evangelize, like to bring people to God, that type viewpoint on Christianity, they have this thing where they think it's their job to heal broken people, particularly men, you know, try to show them the light, try to build them up. Sometimes it's straight up, it's my job to show them to Christ. They kind of see that as their only utility in any interpersonal relationships, but especially with men, especially in romantic contexts. That's how they see themselves, as like this anchor. You end up just being perpetually with a bunch of fucking losers. That's not fair, not losers, but people who are looking for people to do the growing for them. People that feel like it's not their responsibility. They feel like their entire purpose of finding a partner, particularly a woman, is to be the recipient of this like shoulder to cry on therapist shit. Again, this isn't just a purely Christian thing, but I have noticed that there's this kind of fetish for it within the Christian circles I've been in. I was once one of these people who were very much so like, come broken men, fall into my bosom. And guess what your bitch ended up dating a bunch of mess. Just mess. Even when I wasn't like super involved in the church as much, I still had this kind of mindset for quite a long time. And girl, all I got was bullshit. But I have noticed a lot of this like aspiring to being that light in someone's life, particularly amongst this type of Christian context. Something I'm still working through, honestly, because I have an inclination to be like a fixer. And then I get resentful that the only purpose I'm there for is to fix. And it's like, when do I like get reciprocity? When does that happen? When do I meet my equal? When are we both giving and taking? Like, when is that happening? I say as I'm currently participating not at all in any form of dating and I don't leave my house. So, but again, she's like, yeah, I can tell that you have a past and you have a testimony and you've been changed around by God. And that actually makes me love you more. Again, the thing that I was talking about, they're attracted to this. I'm telling you, a lot of them are. So she's like, I want to get closer to you, but we have to feel the same about Jesus to be in a relationship. And he's like, okay, I'll give God a try, I guess. I don't know. They randomly start playing the Gap Band. That's random as fuck, but I love me some Charlie Wilson. Are you serious? I'm just curious. Why you wanna hurt me, girl? Tell me, are you not for real? Why you wanna hurt me, girl? I never ever had a love. Put the pedal to the metal and burn money on me, Charlie. Oh no, no, no. You took my money, you took my time, then you make me the man, and they're gonna tell your mother, tell her she done burn on me. Charlie, oh no, 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 no. I like that song. I'm standing. Girl, you knock me. Girl, you know, you knock me out early in the morning to find me another lover, so I gotta get up early in the morning. Sorry. Get a better than I don't know, won't ding dong, hold me, Charlie. Oh no, no. My dad had like a best of Gap Band CD, and I used to burn that out when I was like 8 years old. Fire. They get in the car and see one of his people getting attacked. Mile comes up to protect. He goes up to him. And he's like, back up. Vanessa in the car like, oh my God, Miles, don't do it. No one gets shot. He's like, go home. Leave everybody alone. Stop. Peace. Love. Whatever. And I guess now she finally realized that this isn't like a theory. This isn't a game. These are the streets, bitch. And so they get back and now she's like yelling at him. She was like, what the fuck was that? Why did you have a gun? This bitch so excited that she can live out her saving the thug fantasy going on a joyride that she missed the plot, bitch. Listen, why would a dude who's a self-admitted gangster or ex-gangster, whatever, not have a gun? Like, why would you think he wouldn't? But she's like, it's okay. let's pray together. And they pray together so that he don't get shot next time he out and about. Some more time passes, and Vanessa's family gifts Miles a Bible for his birthday, and it has his name on it. It's engraved and everything. It's a real nice. And then the mom, who still don't like him, by the way, is like, hey, we've been praying for a godly man to enter Vanessa's life. Are you honestly that man? And he's real with her, and he says, I don't know, which I think is fair. He's struggling with all his thoughts with religion and Christianity and stuff like that. And so he's honest about it. Up until this point, the cops have just been going back and forth, basically like, man, I wish I could arrest him, but for some unknown reason, I can't. So again, they're showing them periodically still staking him out. More time passes. They've been dating for a little longer. And up until this point, Miles has always had an excuse for why he can't come to church with Vanessa on Sunday. And she's starting to get very annoyed by it. And Miles finally admits that he doesn't want to go because he feels like God doesn't want people like him in the church. This relieves Vanessa because she realized that it wasn't something even deeper about why he can't go to church. And she's like, don't worry about that. God just wants you to come as you are. So he comes to church and he realizes that the pastor is wearing a baseball cap. And then he realized, wow, people like me can come to church too. He's later introduced to the pastor. And basically they just go back and forth about how fly they both are respectively and how they both have very expensive cars. Apparently Miles came in a Bentley and the pastor came in a Lambo. I said we weren't going to talk about my religious trauma. I'm going to do this very quickly because y'all don't want to hear about my problem. But anyway, I can't help it. I got to talk about this. I was raised in a prosperity gospel church. And one of the big things there is like, basically you're poor because you haven't given enough money to God yet. And when you finally give over that last 32 cents that you were trying to use to eat a pack of sugar, you'll finally be given all the resources that God said that you'll get. And there was something so triggering about the Lambo scene that I was just like, you were able to buy a Lambo by basically telling people that the reason they're destitute is because they haven't given enough money to Christ. And then you use the Lamborghini that you bought with people's last coins to be indicative of the prosperity bestowed upon you by God and not because you were... Okay. Anyway, again, we're not here to talk about my trauma, but let's continue. Anyway, but he's talking to the pastor and he's like, you can't judge a book by its cover. This church is for everybody, whatever. Later, Vanessa asks Miles if he is ready to go and do an altar call, basically give his life to Christ at the church yet. And he says he doesn't know if he wants to dive into it that deep. He is just enjoying the experience of going to church right now. So one step at a time. But he's still struggling because he's like, if God is all loving and he's this wonderful and merciful God, why do terrible things happen in the world, you know? She's just like, well, I'll be here when you decide. And they just move on to the next scene where he goes to his mom and gives her a trip to Sandals Resort. Again, they need to bring that sponsor around. Again, I guess we just realized that her son is a millionaire. And, like, she knew he was making money. I don't know if she knew what he was doing, but she knew he was making quite a bit of money. But anyway, Miles is trying to continue to live holy, but he does have several temptations, mainly like random white women that he used to date in the past who are constantly contacting him when he's trying to read his Bible and stay focused on the Lord. He does falter a little bit by going over to the Songs of Solomon. And for those of you that aren't aware, the Songs of Solomon are all of the sex horny poems of the Bible. No, really, they're actually really beautiful, some of them. Miles goes to Vanessa and reads them as like an advocacy for them to slap some cheeks premaritally. And she's like, you do realize this is about married people, right? And he's like, oh, I mean, yeah. And she's like, yeah, we're not having sex before marriage. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he grows frustrated and goes to take a cold shower. But the temptations don't stop there. The legitimate work that he does these days is a club promotion thing, which is red flag there. That's on my personal list of professions I refuse to date. So you have fun with that. But he's there surrounded by beautiful women at this club, sexually frustrated and wants to party. His friends ask where he's been this whole time because he's been spending more time with Vanessa and the holiness and whatnot. And they're like, we especially haven't seen you without Vanessa. And he's like, well, she's not here. So they start bringing women over to him. And one takes Miles to the back. So Pardon? Did you guys hear that? What was that? Verbal thrashing is insane. But yes, one of the women bring Miles to the back. And then guess who arrives right when they're like getting a little bit too close to each other? Vanessa. She leaves, cries in her car as the rain begins to fall, and prays to God to help her through this hard time. It would seem, though, that Miles doesn't go any further with the girl other than getting a bit too close, but it would seem that Miles and Vanessa break up off screen. They're able to get back together, however, when Miles's father calls each of them separately to let them know that Miles's mother is very sick and is in the hospital. Because, of course, that's how they always bring people back together. Of course, this is how they're going to go. This is how they always go in any, like, stereotypical telenovela-esque romance. They always have to send somebody to the hospital to die to bring people back together. Never mind that y'all stopped talking because you believe he cheated, which he did. He was going to. He considered cheating on you. And as far as you know, he did. And the reason it happened is because you didn't give him pussy. But God works in mysterious ways, I guess. But they make up and Vanessa comes to the hospital to see Miles's mother as she's on her deathbed. And she basically hits her with a like, you need to stay with my son because you brought him to God and you're so bright and like it's your job to blah, 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 blah. Shut the f up. Respectfully, because you about to die and all, but like my son needs you now more than ever. God brought you together. Like I know you're going through a lot, but go to hell. Again, not really because you're on your deathbed, but like respectfully, no. Please don't ever give up on him. God sent a woman like you to show him to Jesus. Again, the whole like saving the bad boy with the love of God is ultimately the job of a godly woman, all that bullshit. So none of this is particularly surprising, but it's incredibly triggering. Anyway, the mom dies and the cops are still staking him out and they do it until it's her funeral. They're like at the funeral with this big ass truck on the grounds and nobody see them, which also disrespectful. You suck. Can people mourn, bitch? What, you gonna arrest him there? But while they're looking at him grieving his dead mother, Baldwin is like, I believe in God. And I was gonna be like, okay, what does that have to do with anything? You'll see. But he's like, yeah, I'm a man of faith. Like I go to Bible study and I go to church or whatever or something like that. Also at the funeral is Vanessa's mother, who apologizes to Miles and basically makes him feel better because his mama did. I was like, thanks, I guess. Still a racist bitch. After they've been through all this hardship, Miles decides that he wants to propose to Vanessa and he goes to her parents to ask for their permission. They are fans of the idea, so he buys her a jet or rents a jet. Somehow a jet was involved, and they're gonna have their like romantic engagement day. Now, for some reason though, the feds finally want to do their job. Rude. And then they start playing Coming From Where I'm From. Again, these music choices, I don't know how they got here. Who is that? Anthony Hamilton? Sitting there, guess I didn't make bail. Got time and a story to tell. But they start playing this song because they're finally going to take in Miles's friends who are still actively in the thug life, right? So they take them in, and the only person that they don't take in is Miles for some reason. He isn't incarcerated. So they call Miles for them to make bail, and so he pays to get them bailed out. Apparently the reason they weren't able to take in Miles is because all of his friends are crazy loyal and did not rat him out. That's some friendship right there, hell. While all of this happens, Vanessa gets into a car accident and is in a coma in the hospital. Two hospital visits? Even I wasn't expecting the second one. Like, I was like, they don't usually use the hospital accident coma card more than once, especially not in a 30-minute time frame. Yeah, she in a coma, and they were like, man, let's hope and pray she don't die. But Miles is like, I'm so tired of people saying it's in the Lord's hands. That's what they said when my mama died. So he goes up to a giant stained glass white Jesus to voice his grievances. He's like, I've been doing all these things you're talking about. I've been going to church. I've been reading my Bible. I've been good. I have been abstaining. And all I wanted you to do is spare my mama and she died. And now you trying to take Vanessa away from me. Like, take me. You seem to want me so damn bad.
I'm ready for whatever you got coming. You want to send me to hell? Book the flight!
Okay. That was good. No, I mean, it wasn't good, but it was comparatively all right compared to everything else so far. Good job, Ja Rule. But he gives his life over to Christ, and theoretically, that's when everything is supposed to get better, right? Well, police raid his house right then. Can't catch a break. And he's actually booked to be interrogated by the police. While he's being interrogated, Mr. Sour Patch Face suddenly turned over a new leaf because he's a man of Christ. And he's like, I believe him. I believe that he's not doing bad things anymore. And I hope that he's able to get out of this because he found out that he's now a Christian. He was really gung-ho about getting him before, but I guess he said, what do we need accountability for? He's a brother in Christ. They let him go because he doesn't confess to anything and they don't have concrete evidence, they say. I think they have enough. Just in time because Vanessa miraculously comes out of her coma. And that's basically the movie, by the way. He gives his life to Christ. He writes his friends who do get locked up. And he's like, can't imagine how hard it is. But my wife says, hey, it's a new season for me. I'm about to be a dad. Life is a crazy ride. God's been so good to all of us. Can't wait till y'all get out. And then after 3 years, he becomes a preacher and he preaches about change or whatever. God, I hate this movie. I am aware that some of it, maybe even a sizable amount of it, is my own religious trauma. But even outside of that, this movie's dumb. It's almost dumb enough that it makes me want to download Pure Flix, because a lot of people were saying, Kendall, did you know that there's like a Passion Flix, Netflix for Christian romance movies? And I was like, I can't. I don't have the bandwidth for that. I don't think I can do it. But now I'm considering it. If I survive this, I could probably survive most things, you know? So that is all for today, folks. If you like today's video, feel free to like today's video. Follow me on all my social media, Instagram, Twitter, both of which are KennieJD. If you would like to send me suggestions, you can do it over on Twitter, down in the comment section, or on the Bad Movie Biscuits Discord, all of which will be linked down below. And I will see you guys next time.